A troubled childhood, seeds of darkness. Edmund Kemper was born on December 18, 1948 in Burbank, California. His arrival should have been a joyous occasion. Instead, it marked the beginning of a tumultuous journey that would culminate in unimaginable darkness. Edmund's childhood was far from idyllic. He was the middle child of Kemper and Clarnell Stage, trapped in a volatile and unhappy marriage. Their constant arguments created a tense and unstable environment. This deeply impacted young Edmund. Even at a young age, Edmund displayed signs of disturbing behavior. He exhibited a morbid fascination with death. He would often torture and dismember his sister's dolls. This macabre interest in violence foreshadowed the sinister path he would eventually take. These early warning signs, however, went largely unnoticed or dismissed. This was a tragic oversight that would have far-reaching consequences. Edmund's home life continued to deteriorate. His parents' marriage finally crumbled when he was 9 years old. Following the divorce, Edmund's mother took him and his sisters to Montana. This move would prove to be a turning point in his life, further isolating him and exacerbating his emotional turmoil. Parental discord and early trauma, the shadow over Kemper's formative years. Edmund's parents had a tumultuous relationship. Their constant fighting created a toxic atmosphere in their home. Clarnell, Edmund's mother, was described as domineering and emotionally abusive. She often belittled Edmund, attacking his intelligence and manhood. She seemed to resent his very existence, making him a scapegoat for her own unhappiness. Kemper, Edmund's father, was a World War II veteran. He struggled to cope with the horrors he had witnessed. He often drank heavily to numb the pain. He felt overwhelmed by Clarnell's volatile personality. This made it difficult for him to provide Edmund with the emotional support he desperately needed. Caught in the crossfire of their parents' toxic relationship, Edmund retreated further into himself. He found solace in a world of dark fantasies and violent impulses. The impact of this early trauma on Edmund's developing psyche was profound. He internalized his mother's relentless criticism, developing deep-seated feelings of inadequacy and rage. These feelings festered within him, laying the foundation for his future acts of violence. Harbingers of violence, cruelty to animals, and emerging behavioral issues. As Edmund grew older, his disturbing behavior escalated beyond the dismemberment of dolls. He began to inflict his rage on animals. He tortured and killed cats, burying one alive and decapitating another. This cruelty towards animals is recognized by psychologists as a significant red flag in childhood. It often indicates a lack of empathy and a potential for future violence towards humans. Edmund's actions were not merely the result of childhood curiosity or mischief. They were deliberate acts of cruelty. He derived pleasure from inflicting pain and suffering. This sadistic streak was a clear warning sign that something was deeply troubled within him. Sadly, these warning signs were ignored or dismissed. His behavior was often attributed to the difficulties of a broken home. No one recognized the severity of his psychological disturbance. This failure to intervene had tragic consequences. Edmund's violent impulses were allowed to fester and grow, unchecked and unaddressed. This ultimately paved the way for his horrific crimes to come. The first act of violence, the murder of Kemper's grandparents. At the age of 15, Edmund committed his first murders. His victims were his paternal grandparents. He shot and killed them both at their ranch in North Fork, California. The motive, he later claimed, was to spare them from the embarrassment of what he planned to do next. Edmund had developed a deep-seated hatred for his grandmother Maud. He perceived her as controlling and overbearing, much like his mother. After the murders, Edmund immediately called his mother. She insisted he turn himself in to the authorities. He was subsequently diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. He was sent to Atascadero State Hospital, a maximum security facility for the criminally insane. This marked the beginning of Edmund's tumultuous journey through the mental health system. It would be marked by periods of institutionalization and release that would ultimately fail to curb his violent impulses. The murder of his grandparents was a horrific turning point in Edmund's life. It was a chilling demonstration of the dark potential that lay dormant within him. Section 5. A cycle of institutionalization and release, navigating the mental health system. Edmund spent the next 5 years of his life at Atascadero. He underwent extensive psychiatric treatment and evaluation. He proved to be a model patient, manipulating his way into the good graces of the staff. He convinced them that he was rehabilitated and no longer posed a threat to society. He was deemed cured of his schizophrenia and released back into the care of his mother in 1969. Despite his seemingly successful rehabilitation, Edmund harbored deep-seated anger and resentment. This was particularly directed at his mother, who he blamed for his troubled childhood and institutionalization. He felt suffocated by her constant presence and control. His release, rather than offering a fresh start, set the stage for a deadly confrontation. This period also highlights the limitations and complexities of the mental health system, particularly in the late 1960s. The decision to release Edmund proved to be a fatal miscalculation. It underlined the need for more comprehensive evaluation and treatment for individuals with severe mental illness and a history of violence. Section 6. The Santa Cruz Killings, a mother's domination and a son's deadly rampage. Edmund struggled to adjust to life outside of institutional walls. He found menial jobs but felt lost and directionless. His resentment towards his mother continued to fester. This toxic dynamic created a pressure cooker of tension. Between May 1972 and February 1973, Edmund embarked on a killing spree. He murdered 6 young women, luring them into his car. His victims were all college students hitchhiking. His crimes demonstrated a chilling level of premeditation. These murders were not simply acts of random violence, they were fueled by Edmund's deep-seated rage. He saw his victims as surrogates for his mother. His actions show the devastating consequences of unaddressed trauma. Section 7. Unmasking the mind of a killer. Psychological insights into Kemper's motivations. Experts who have studied Kemper's case have identified several contributing factors to his crimes. His troubled childhood, marked by parental discord and emotional abuse, left deep psychological scars. His mother's domineering personality and constant belittling fueled his feelings of inadequacy and rage. His early cruelty towards animals revealed a disturbing lack of empathy and a fascination with violence. Kemper's diagnosis of paranoid schizophrenia likely played a role in shaping his distorted perceptions and fueling his violent fantasies. However, it's crucial to note that the vast majority of individuals with schizophrenia are not violent. In Kemper's case, the combination of his mental illness, severe childhood trauma, and lack of adequate mental health support created a perfect storm for violence. His case highlights the complexity of criminal behavior, illustrating how a confluence of factors can contribute to an individual's path to violence. It also underscores the importance of early intervention and comprehensive mental health care in preventing such tragedies. Section 8. Capture, confession, and trial. Kemper's reckoning with justice. Edmund killed his mother and her friend, then fled Santa Cruz. He called the police and confessed to the murders. Kemper's trial was a media sensation. In November 1973, he was found guilty on 8 counts of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Section 9. Life behind bars. Kemper's incarceration and reflections on his crimes. Since his incarceration, Edmund Kemper has become an enigma. He has been remarkably forthcoming in interviews, offering chillingly detailed accounts of his crimes. He has expressed remorse, acknowledging the pain he inflicted on his victims' families. Some experts question his sincerity, suggesting he enjoys the notoriety. Kemper has spent decades reflecting on his life and crimes. He has spoken about his childhood trauma and struggles with mental illness. He advocates for early intervention and support for mental health issues. His cooperation has provided valuable insights into criminal psychology. His story reminds us of the human capacity for both good and evil. Section 10. Enduring lessons from the Kemper case. The importance of early intervention and mental health support. The case of Edmund Kemper stands as a chilling reminder of the importance of early intervention and mental health support. Kemper's descent into violence was a gradual process, marked by red flags that were largely ignored or dismissed. His early cruelty to animals, his fascination with death, and his disturbing behavior at home and school were all indicators of a deeply troubled individual in need of help. Tragically, Kemper did not receive the comprehensive mental health care he needed. The mental health system at the time was ill-equipped to address the complex interplay of factors that contributed to his violent behavior. His case underscores the need for greater awareness of mental health issues, improved access to care, and more effective treatment options. By prioritizing early intervention and providing comprehensive mental health support, we can work towards preventing tragedies like the Kemper case from occurring in the future. By recognizing the warning signs, intervening early, and offering compassion and understanding, we can create a safer and more supportive society for everyone. Section 11. Conclusion: breaking the cycle of violence. The story of Edmund Kemper is a difficult one to confront. It forces us to grapple with the darkest aspects of human nature. It challenges us to understand how a person can commit such unspeakable acts. However, within this darkness, there are valuable lessons to be learned. Lessons about the importance of early intervention, about the need for a more compassionate and effective mental health system, and about the responsibility we all share in breaking the cycle of violence. Kemper's case serves as a stark reminder that violence is not inevitable. It is a complex issue with deep roots in individual, familial, and societal factors. By addressing these factors head-on, by providing support to those who need it most, and by fostering a culture of empathy and understanding, we can strive to create a world where tragedies like Kemper's are a relic of the past.